Hey, it's syndicated radio talk show host, author, singer Al Cole, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. I come from CBS Radio. My shows are nationally syndicated, and I've helped pave the way to treating women, guys too, with the dignity that they deserve. I do that through my show, People of Distinction, aired on very dignified networks, including the biggest airing CBS shows, and that's Apple's iTunes Radio Network. Under their professional news talk division, airing CBS shows, Fox News, NPR, BBC, everything. And also, you can email me at alcoholholic@gmail.com if you want to learn more about some of the things that I do. You want to be a guest on People of Distinction. alcoholholic@gmail.com. That's ALCOLEHOLIC@gmail.com. And I really want to thank my CBS radio listeners for coming up with that handle, Alcoholic. Seems like from day one, my listeners have been saying, Al, we love what you're doing there, brother. In fact, we're hooked on it. We're alcoholics. And coming from CBS Radio, I'm also a New York Times best-selling author with Chicken Soup for the Soul. Chicken Soup for the Soul is distributed by CBS's Simon & Schuster, so we keep it in the family that way. Coming up, a member of our human family who's been around the globe, and we love that. His name is Andrew Rees, and he's written a stunning new book called Oburoni and Other Stories. Now, nobody knows what that means. I mean, we know what other stories means. Okay, so but everything's dependent here on Oburoni. What does that mean? So Andrew is explaining to me that Oburoni is a term that people in Ghana use, maybe Africans in general, that talks about a white person. Now, I might not have the translation exactly right, but it's right enough for you, my listening audience, to start to understand what's really going on here. Oburoni and Other Stories has to do with Andrew, who is a white human being, lives in the UK, who was living in Ghana at one point. Now, not a lot of white people around the planet go to Ghana to live and to help people in Ghana to develop whatever they're developing in excellent ways. But Andrew took the time and everything else, the dedication, the energy, to go to Ghana and help out. And he's going to recount some of the stories here. You know, other stories. Now we're getting into it. Those stories are about Andrew living in Ghana and the things that he was able to accomplish, and actually some of the things that he learned from the people of Ghana as well. See, it's reciprocal, people. We give out and we get back. And it's blessed to do both, to give as well as to receive. And now he's going to tell us a little bit about, some of the things that he's learned and received and given and gotten back and all of that with living in Ghana. And you can order this book, Oburoni and Other Stories, at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And I will tell you, he was brought to us by one of the best publishers in the business, Parchment Global Publishing. And Parchment is your place for moving your book. They're great movers of book. Got a book you've got to move? Well, move it through Parchment. ParchmentGlobalPublishing.com. Welcome, Andrew, to People of Distinction with Al Cole. Pleasure to have you on board today. How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm good, thanks, Al.
Yeah, my pleasure. So you lived in Ghana. In fact, you loved Ghana so much that you married a lady from Ghana as well, and you're both living in the UK right now. So let's creep up on this, Oburoni and Other Stories. Why did you want to go to Ghana in the first place, Andrew?
Well, I first went for a brief holiday in 2014, but I wanted really after that to return, and being in my late 50s, I had the urge, I suppose, to want to do something for the community. And believe it or not, I actually went to Google, and I Googled Ghana, volunteer, teacher, and just saw what came up. And fortunately, I made contact through that with a teacher, and I was to go to teach at his school in early 2015. But then he recommended me to go to his friend's school, where he thought there was a greater need. And that's the school that I'm still associated with. And I've probably taught on and off maybe 4, 5, 6 terms of teaching English and then computing to children, mainly primary age, between 7 and 13. And it's been like all experiences, when you do something totally different in your life, it's been very rewarding, and I learn from them as much as they learn from me. They're happy, they're exuberant. Sometimes they play up, of course. They don't always do their homework, but we have a good time together.
Now, I've heard that too, that Africans, and maybe specifically people in Ghana, can be very, very wonderful people, loving people, outgoing, even amidst many of the crises and the poverty. And you've seen it up close. I've seen it from more of a distance, being a musician, singer, traveling at times around the world. And in the work that I do now, with people of distinction, interviewing people from all over the planet. But you saw that. You saw it more up close. You lived there. Can you explain to our American audience, largely Americans, but people around the globe, why the people from Ghana are so outgoing, so wonderful and loving, amidst such sometimes very hard situations, certainly financially? What is the key to that, do you think, Andrew?
I think really that they don't really have high expectations. They enjoy life as it is. Life can be, as we know in the West, life can be quite complicated and difficult and intense, really. But out there, what I did notice was that even though people are poor, they just take pleasure in simple things. They laugh a lot. Mm-hmm. They just aim to earn enough money to live, to have a meal a day, send their children to school. Some, yes, of course, have jobs in the city and have to travel in. But I was living in a local community, and generally, I don't think people have. They live in compound housing. They don't expect a lot out of life. And I think also another feature of it, Al, is that people have faith, and they believe in something stronger than themselves. They believe in God, and that there are Christian and Muslim communities living quite closely together. The school I was teaching at, we had both sets of children at the school and getting on very well. And I think that's really the key to it, that expectation is less, and belief in, if you like, in a sense, a certain form of almost confidence, if you like, in life, and the fact that they will be protected, that God will look after them, features quite high with them.
You know what? I agree. Simplicity sometimes makes more sense than complexity in our world, under the situations that we live in. When we want more and more and more and more out of life, because we're used to getting more and more and more out of life, like Americans in general, not every American, then it seems like we're never happy. If we're, making $50,000 a year, oh, no, that's not enough. Got to make 60. Got to make 100,000. That's not enough. Got to be a millionaire. Got to be a billionaire. And, there's always that other bar. And so we never really achieve, as we usually talk about, our potential, because we're thinking, well, we don't know what our potential is. We haven't achieved it yet. And by the time we're senior citizens and we're near the end of that life, then we're saying, hey, but have I reached my potential? What's it all about? And then we're questioning. And sometimes we're questioning a little bit too late, and we're not questioning still enough about the basic meaning of life. The basic meaning of life has to do with love. And, peace, love, and understanding. And there's nothing funny about that. And people who live in more dire straits, as you said so eloquently, they don't, their expectations are not as high. And so they're not searching all around for other options. They're happy with just knowing their mother and father, their sisters, their brothers, their children, their spouses, living that life in that way. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm not saying that one sort of lifestyle should be preferred over another. I am saying that we need to simplify more and more in our lives, maybe like Henry David Thoreau once said in Walden. So that's a great explication right off the bat, Andrew. We appreciate it. Now let's get into your work, particularly as a teacher in Ghana. Tell us a little about other stories. Tell us one of the stories of your work as a teacher in Ghana. Tell us that.
Well, I should say that the lead story, the first story, is really describes my life in Ghana and some of the detail, the small things that I noticed. And one I would particularly like to mention is that which really, in a sense, gave the book its title, was the children. Because what I would typically do, travel around the dusty roads in the community on a bicycle, and then suddenly from nowhere a cry would come out, "Oburoni," and then I'd look around, maybe perhaps not even close to the road, but way over to the right, some little child would be waving at me, and it was really this would happen quite frequently, and it really touched me. Because sometimes there would be two or three of them, and they'd run after me. They'd want me maybe to touch their hands or something like that. And I suppose really it was saying I was a natural curiosity. I was white. Not many white people go to Ghana, certainly not in the areas that I was in. But also what it told me is, yes, I was different, but also there was a warmth there, a warmth of acceptance. I was there, Oburoni. They almost took a pride in seeing me walk the streets and go to the shops, and it touched me. It really did.
Yeah. Now that's a wonderful experience that not too many of us get to undergo. The aspect of being different and accepted at the same time. Usually, in our Western culture anyway, when we're considered to be different, that is an exit word that, we're not going to be accepted as readily. But you are accepted for your difference. Did that change you in any way from your Western culture? All of a sudden you're in Ghana, you're a white guy, an Oburoni, and yet that was really a drawing point. You were there, Oburoni. How did that change your psychology, change your lifestyle, your life thinking, your feelings? Tell us a little bit about that.
In a sense, it brought home to me the individuality, the sense in which I was almost steering a path, if you like, that nobody else had been on, which in a sense, and because there was such a warmth and a lot of help, really, the headmaster of the school helped me a lot, and it gave me some confidence. Because, when you're in your late 50s and you have this kind of opportunity, which I should say came about for me through a change in my personal circumstances, all of a sudden I was single again and I had this opportunity to do something like this. But it gave me, having, in a sense, made such a dramatic change in my life and having seen it work, and I felt more confident. But what it also taught me as well is to also be more careful, because when you're in that situation, everybody wants to be your friend. And for some people, that's not always with the right motives. They want to get alongside you. Then, of course, they start asking you for money. My uncle's in hospital, please help him, and this kind of thing. And, of course, you want to be friendly, but you can't just be handing out money.
Sure.
And that's not to say that's not a reflection on the society there. Many people are good, kind, helpful, generous, but it does happen. And so with the confidence, you like on the positive side, went the need to be careful, to be aware of myself, really. But the confidence was the bigger emotion, the feeling that as an individual I could do this and I could be happy. I didn't need to live in a 4-star hotel or anything like that. I was happy living in a local hostel. The rooms I had, they were adequate, they were spacious, but they weren't lavish at all. But this was enough for me. I could adapt. I could become, I could move community from what I was to being in Ghana, and that was encouraging for me.
Look at that. This is great stuff here on People of Distinction, where we always have great stuff. Andrew Rees, he's talking about his book, Oburoni and Other Stories. He's a white gentleman who lived in a black area of this world in Ghana and made his presence known with education. He's a teacher. And also learned a lot from the people of Ghana as well. If this is your cup of tea and really sounds great reading, you got to order that at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And you are listening to People of Distinction with Al Cole and our special guest, Andrew Rees. So, Andrew, tell us a little bit more in depth, maybe one of your experiences as a teacher. You're teaching English to, let's say, 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 kids in your class from Ghana. What were some of the obstacles here, and also some of the easy things to get the English language out to people who weren't speaking English? Tell us a little bit about that aspect of your teaching in Ghana.
Well, they do speak English and the local language, which in around Accra, which is the capital, it's Twi.
Oh, can I just break in for a second because maybe I was wrong. The people in Ghana, did they actually speak English as one of the languages in their country?
Yes, they do, okay. And most public communication is in English, but there are different tribal languages: Twi around Accra, Ewe around the Volta regions to the east, and I think there are other tribal languages, but those are the two main ones.
Okay, continue on with some of the experiences of teaching.
Well, one of the experiences, I should say, which you'll probably find quite interesting, was the school is quite poor. In fact, I've invested in the school, and we've now moved to a new site. But we didn't actually have a classroom for every class. We had, if you like, a big barn of a building, and that was split up with blackboards. The blackboard kind of indicated the boundary, if you like, of each class. So what would happen, of course, was the noise. Sometimes I'd be teaching something, and there'd be, all this noise would kind of waft over from another class. Maybe they were happy, they were laughing or something like that. So handling the noise was actually one of the problems I had. I mean, it's a nice problem. And then in terms of teaching English, one of the things they really like out there is drama. If you can perhaps read a short story. Ernest Hemingway, we read one of his stories from the snows of Kilimanjaro, and we acted it. And they love that. They love being given parts, and they, we design the drama so that they know exactly when they come in. We make simple props. This particular one, I think we needed a doctor's stethoscope, and of course we didn't have that, so we just get a piece of rope or something like that to be the stethoscope. Mm-hmm. And when you do something like that, when you dramatize a piece of literature, because they remember it much better, it really excites them. And even the school play, I worked on a couple of school plays with them, and we had a great time doing it. One of them was the English writer, I think A.A. Milne, wrote a book, Toad of Toad Hall. It's very popular among children in this country, and we reenacted that, and we had some of the children were rats, others were toads, and there was a bit of a battle in it all. But we crafted it quite carefully to not to be too exuberant, but at the same time to enjoy ourselves. And those are the things I really remember. Computing, even though it's my profession, it's really yes. I remember some of the classes, and we'd open up the laptop. But it's the English I think I really enjoyed, and particularly the literature and talking about poetry, drama, reading stories. All of that was great.
Isn't that something? And this is great. Wonderful interview here with Andrew Rees, who wrote the book Oburoni and Other Stories. And it's talking about his travels to Ghana for education purposes and what he delivered educationally and also what he received. And we have some minutes left in this interview. If you want to go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, order Oburoni and Other Stories, I would suggest it. Sounds like great reading here. And we're going to cap this off with a couple of things here, Andrew. One is that you got a lot out of Ghana as well. You gave a lot, you got a lot, including a wife. You told me before the show that you're married to a lady from Ghana. So I'm assuming that you met her while you were teaching in Ghana. I don't know if she was one of your adult students, but tell us a little bit about that, too. You don't have to go into a lot of the personal things, but you met a woman in Ghana and married her. So that had to be something that was life-changing for you as well. When you were a kid in England, did you ever think that you were going to be married to a woman from Ghana?
No, I didn't. And yes, it really came about, I guess, through meeting my wife almost 3 years ago now at a friend's party. And it was at a stage when I was shortly due to leave Ghana to return to Europe to do one of my spells with contracting with Oracle software. And so I only really knew her for a few weeks. And then, of course, as soon as I came to Europe, I thought, well, that's it. Nice meeting. That's probably going to be it. But we kept in touch, and she was very faithful with keeping in touch with me. We'd speak maybe for an hour every night until I then returned to Ghana, which was a few months later. And what's interesting is in the time from meeting until we got married, which was November 2018, we were most of the time apart rather than together. But somehow I guess, we found a bond. We found mutual interests. I mean, she used to be a movie actress, and she's done work in sewing. She's great, loves making clothes, and even here now we just bought a sewing machine. But yes, I guess we love talking. Common interest in faith. We're both Christians. And a great. What is very typical of Ghana is a great bond with the extended family, not just with the immediate family of mother, father, sisters, brothers, but also uncles and aunts on both, father's and mother's side. And invariably, there's me on my own getting to meet, this kind of wealth of family on my wife's side. So yes, it's I've been very blessed, really, and it's worked out very well.
I'm going to ask you a question here because my listeners are really going to be interested in this, as well as I. Now, you said earlier that you were there, Oburoni. You were their white person in Ghana, and the people from Ghana used to take some sort of pride in that. Wow, he's different, but he's different our way. And we really like this guy. We love this guy. Now, they were very embracing to you. And you married, I think maybe where I'm going here. You're a white guy. You're married to a black woman. And even in our 21st century, we don't still see a lot of that. Do you think, this is a tough question here, that you and your black wife are more of an inviting force, more of two people that are accepted as a black man and a white man and a black woman Are you more accepted in England that way, or would you be more accepted in Ghana that way, or are they equal? We're really interested in that answer. Tell us a little bit about that, Andrew.
You're right, it is a tough question. I think it's probably equal. I think it partly depends what part of England you're in, but certainly, I have a house I co-own with my sister in London, and my wife's only been in the country a couple of months now, but yes, I think she's had some very positive, feelings, I guess, from people she's met, and I've no sense of being people, behaving negatively. But in Ghana, very accepting indeed. I don't think anybody. I never heard any questioning of her as to why she would want to marry a white man, anything like that at all. If anything, I'd give Ghana the edge. I'd say probably more acceptance there. But I think in this country, it's quite accepted, and people again have been kind here as well and helpful to her. Yeah. So it's in both situations, it's been good.
Yep, absolutely. And we're going to give you time right now to just recap your book, Oburoni and Other Stories, to our listeners. Another minute, possibly a minute and a half, just to say anything else that you want to say about your book to my listening audience and to other people that will hear this interview stream. Go for it and say anything else that you want to about your book.
Okay. I think maybe what I should say to listeners is if they're looking the book up on the web, is the spelling of Oburoni. It's Oburoni. And it's the book's available as you've said, Al, through Amazon, also through Google. Waterstones, they're a bookstore in the UK. They have it, but they're online too. And Author House, through whom the book was originally published. But I have written. This is actually my fourth book. I mean, I enjoy the whole experience of writing. I find it very liberating. I find it very fulfilling. The stories, apart from Oburoni, mainly cover different scenes, different cameos out of life. The emotions of hope, despair, patience, dedication, and I hope really that they touch. If you get the book, that I hope that they touch you, because that's the whole point about writing short stories, that there's a touch point through to the reader from the writer.
Mm-hmm. We get it, and wonderfully put there. So order that book, Oburoni and Other Stories, at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, by the guest and the author, Andrew Rees, on People of Distinction with Al Cole. And I'm going to cap off the show with a couple of cents of my own to underscore a lot of the sense that Andrew has been making in our interview. We are all part of a human family, people. I'm also an African-American man. I was born in this country. My people actually didn't come directly from Africa, but an offshoot, the Cape Verde Islands. And the Cape Verde Islands are a group of islands off of the west coast of Africa, populated by Africans and colonized by the Portuguese a few hundred years ago. So it's a mixed race, and I've been to Africa. I've certainly been to Cape Verde a number of times. Wonderful, wonderful people. And we are part of a human family. Whether we're black or white, Asian, Native American, Hispanic, what have you, we are all in it together. We're under the same sun, people. We're on the same planet. And the biggest thing that we all have in common is the ability to love. Now, that's the thing I want to really get out at the end of this show. Love. And that's the universal language right there. Whether we speak, African or English or whatever language, we don't even have to use words anymore to express love. Sometimes a smile does that, a handshake. Sometimes a great book, or sometimes a great piece of music, and a whole bunch of other ways that we can express love in our world. Love is a little bit different from respect. We can love somebody and still not show them the respect that we need to show them. We can respect somebody and still not love them. We know that. So think of it this way, people. When you see somebody that is a little bit different, and, you want to judge that person right off the bat because that person is different, like Andrew was different in Ghana. First thing, think of whatever you can think of that person and you have in common. Now, there might not be a lot that you can think of when you don't know that person, haven't even spoken to that person, you see that person across the street or something. But then again, there are the obvious things. That person's a human being, has a head, has a body like yours. Look towards the heart and soul of that individual. Try to get a little bit deep, but first you have to get deep with yourself and understand that you have a heart and soul. Connect with your heart and soul as much as possible. In other words, take a little bit of alone time every once in a while. Get to know some of the love that you've given and the love that you've received in this world. And then you're going to say, well, everybody's done that sometime. Everybody has loved somebody sometime, and everybody has been loved by somebody at some point. And now you're respecting the fact that that person has been loved or that person does love. Now, respect and love are coupling a little bit more closely. I mean, you don't have to love that person necessarily in the sense that we call love, but you can respect the love energy of that person. Just as those little children in Ghana, and they saw Oburoni crossing the street, and he was different from them, but at the same time, he was part of their lives. He was offering something to them, and they were offering something to him. There was that love energy bond, at the very least, that then sparked respect. We need more of that in our world, wherever we live. We are all brothers and sisters, ultimately, in our human family. And keep that going, people, as much as you can. Make that love energy a prayer every once in a while. Shoot it out, transmit it out to people, kind of like indiscriminately. Love energy goes out to this one, that one, like a prayer. And it's going to come back to you, your heart and soul as well. And it's going to make you the better person for our human family as well. And that's one of the big messages of People of Distinction with Al Cole. And that is also one of the big messages of Andrew Rees' life through Oburoni and other stories and his wonderful relationship with his wife and his marriage with his wife, who is a black woman. He's a white guy. And we love that on People of Distinction. So one more time, order that book, Oburoni and Other Stories, at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And remember from whence Andrew came. And that's Parchment Global Publishing, one of the best in the publishing world. Got a book that you want to move it through Parchment. ParchmentGlobalPublishing.com. Thank you so much, Andrew, for sharing your stories from Oburoni and Other Stories. It's been our pleasure to have you on People of Distinction. We wish you all the best with your book and your life direction. So thank you so much, Andrew.
Well, thank you too, Alan. Thank you again for the opportunity of talking about, and it's actually been very enjoyable and very moving in doing so. So thank you so much.